So in this particular lecture, we will discuss the basic theory required for microcontroller lab, ECL 204. And when you discuss the theory part, mainly we will discuss the following points. That is difference between microprocessor and microcontroller lab, and the features of 8051 microcontroller, and the basic block diagram, not detailed block diagram. We'll also discuss the basic structure of microcontroller, external pins, and we'll also discuss the memory organization. We will give more importance for this memory organization because to program microcontroller, we need an exact idea about what is the memory structure of 8051 microcontroller. So we will discuss the RAM and programming memory, ROM. Okay, and we'll start with the basic idea. So in this particular picture, you can see some electronic devices are arranged in different rooms. Okay. So this is the first computer, and considered as the first computer, and known as the ENIAC. Okay. Here you can see that the different units of a computer. They are commonly known as ALU, control unit, input, memory, output. All these devices are arranged in different rooms. Okay. Now the computers are available on a small box. Okay, you can imagine about your desktop computer. There will be keyboard, display unit, the CPU, central processing unit, etc. All these available on a small box. But initial days, all these circuits are separate. For example, when you discuss about digital electronics, there you will discuss about adder circuit, subtractor, and a shifter. So these are some basic arithmetic and logic circuits. In initial days, all these circuits are implemented separately, and we arranged in different box or different rooms. Okay. Similarly, one important unit is a memory. This is also a very big unit when it comes about a computer system. But when technology developed, all these things, okay, all these things means the ALU, arithmetic and logic unit, and the control unit is available on a single chip. Okay. So that single chip is commonly known as a microprocessor and a very small size. Okay, the processing unit is available on a very small size. So that device or that unit is usually known as a microprocessor. So a microprocessor means it's a programmable device, integrated IC or integrated device. It's an electronic semiconductor device. It has computing and decision-making capability similar to that of a central processing unit of a computer. So this is a definition of a microprocessor. Now we'll compare with another term, that is, here you can see that this input, output, and memory device are external to the microprocessor. So we need to add extra memory for the proper working of a computer system. Okay, and now we'll discuss another device which is known as the microcontroller, or we'll simply compare what is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. So in this particular device or microcontroller contain a microprocessor plus an memory unit plus some input output devices. Okay, if all these are available on a single chip, then it is known as a microcontroller. So microcontroller means a microprocessor plus input output plus memory. All these devices are available on a single chip. And if you compare the microprocessor and microcontroller unit, a microprocessor, the CPU, RAM, ROM, input output, timers are separate. When you consider about microcontroller, the central processing unit, RAM, ROM, input output, and some devices like a timer, ADC are all on a single chip. So 8085 is one of the commonly used microprocessor. It's an 8-bit microprocessor, and another one is 8086. So all these ICs are microprocessor. And when you come to the microcontroller, some examples are 8051. Okay, uh, pick 16 of series. Okay, all these devices are microcontroller, where it contain, this particular IC contain CPU, RAM, ROM, input outputs are on a single chip. Now we'll discuss another feature of this microprocessor and microcontroller. So in the case of microprocessor, designer can decide on the amount of ROM, RAM, input output. So there is a limitation, but still we can add extra RAM, ROM, etc. input output devices based on the application. But in the case of microcontroller, in most of the time, all these units are fixed in size. So if you take the ROM, RAM, input output, there is a fixed number of RAM. In some microcontroller, there is a flexibility, but in most of the case, they are fixed. And when you connect all these devices are externally, ROM, RAM, input, output, microprocessor based systems are normally expensive. But when you take about microcontroller, the RAM unit, ROM, and some input output devices are all available on a single chip. So usually the microcontrollers are cost effective. Now another point, when you discuss about microprocessor and microcontroller, microprocessor are generally used for a general purpose, and you can consider as a computer system. Okay. But microcontrollers are normally used for a single purpose, or we will call it as an embedded system. So I'll give you some example for embedded system. So when you design any computer system, there can be two types of system mainly. One is a reprogrammable system, and another one is known as an embedded system. And embedded system means these are some examples for embedded system. This camcorder, digital cameras, electronic card reader, music players, printers, etc. are known as the embedded system. Okay. Here you can see some devices also. So when you take this particular digital camera, so it contains a microcontroller, and there is a program. All these things are embedded on a single chip. Okay. After 2 days, we cannot convert it into a music player. But if it is a computer, you can use the same computer as a word processing unit, or by a music player, or some computing purpose. So that's the difference between an embedded system and a computer system or a reprogrammable system. And microcontrollers are normally used for the design of this embedded system. Microprocessor can also be used, but commonly we will use microcontroller for this embedded system application, because we require only a small program, and that program is fixed. So we don't require any reprogrammable capability for that particular embedded system. Now we'll see some examples for this microcontroller. There are different manufacturing companies, Atmel, ARM, Intel, Motorola, Microchip, National Semiconductor, Texas, etc. So we will discuss 8051, which is initially developed by Intel, but many other manufacturers are also designing this 8051. So this 8051 microcontroller family is normally known as MCS 51. So Atmel, Philips, all other manufacturers are also developing this 8051 compatible microcontroller. There will be slight difference in features. Okay, so generally that category or that family is known as MCS 51, 8051. Okay. And another manufacturer is Microchip. They are developing some other kind of microcontrollers. They are commonly known as PIC. Okay. And in this particular lecture or in particular lab, we will discuss microcontroller design based on 8051. So this is a very basic block diagram or internal structure of 8051. This particular diagram is only used to explain the features of 8051, And internal architecture is some more detail. By using this particular diagram, I can explain some basic features of 8051. So it contains an CPU. So based on that CPU, I can say that this is an 8-bit controller. So at a time, we can perform 8-bit addition, subtraction, or a logical operation based on 8-bit. So generally, this 8051 is known as an 8-bit microcontroller. Okay, and this oscillator circuit is known as a clocking circuit. It's a synchronous circuit. So for the proper working of a microcontroller, we require a clock, and this is a clock generating circuit. Normally, this 8051 will operate in some megahertz range, and these are some other features of 8051. When you discuss about microprocessor and microcontroller, we already know that microcontroller contains some amount of RAM and ROM. Okay, and this is actually ROM, and this ROM in microcontroller is known as a flash memory. It's a special type of ROM, and here we will store the program. Okay, so program is normally loaded into this on-chip flash program memory, and this RAM is normally used to store the temporary data. Okay, and we'll discuss the size of RAM and ROM later. And now the inbuilt ROM size is 4K byte. 4K byte means a memory location can hold 8 bits. So similarly, there is a 4K locations, and each location can hold 8 bits. So that is an internal ROM size or internal flash memory size, and clock frequency can vary from 0 to 24 megahertz. Again, there will be slight difference in the gains of different manufacturers. And when you discuss about on-chip RAM, the data memory, the size is 128 byte. Okay. There is only 128 location. Internal RAM size is 128 into 8, means each location can hold 8 bit. So total 128 locations are available. This is about internal RAM, and sometimes we will also mention as 256 bytes, 256 location. But this general purpose RAM is only 128. The other 128 is a special purpose. So usually we will mention the size of the RAM by general purpose, that is 128. But in some others, they are also mentioning that it's a 256. Okay. And another important feature is a 32 programmable input-output line. So if you want to connect this microcontroller to the external world, for example, we need to connect some LED or a keyboard, we need some pins. So that pins are normally known as the ports, input-output ports. Actually, the 32 in programmable input-output lines are grouped into 4, and each group is known as P0, P1, P2, P3. Ports 0, port 1, port 2, port 3. Okay, each one is 8-bit wide. So port 0 contain 8 pins, port 1 contain 8 pin, port 2 contain 8 pin, port 3 contain 8 pin. So total 32 programmable input-output line for connecting external input-output devices to this microcontroller. And also 6 interrupt sources, and this is the interrupt control unit, and some interrupts are external and some interrupts are internally generated. And another one is a serial port, serial data transmission. We are using 2 pins, TXD and RXD. So in order to control all these things, there is a serial controlling unit. And these ports are used normally for the parallel data transfer, and this serial ports is normally used for serial data transmission. Okay. And we can already we mentioned that the RAM size is 128 byte and the ROM size is 4K. We can connect some external RAM and ROM in case of 8051. There is a flexibility for that. So for that, we need some bus control unit. Okay. For accessing the data from external world or external RAM ROM unit, we are using this bus control unit. And also some internal modules. They are known as the timers. So there are 2 timers. The capacity of the timer is normally indicated by using bits. So the timer 0 is 16 bit and timer 1 is also 16 bit. So these timers can also be configured as a counters. So timer bar counter module, there are two timer bar counter module where they are labeled as timer 0 and timer 1, and the feature or capacity of the timer we can mention by using 16 bit. Okay. So this is a very basic feature of a 8051 microcontroller. Now we'll see the detailed diagram, but I am not going to explain all these things. This is the exact architecture or internal diagram of 8051. So previously we discussed a very basic unit. So all these things you can see here, the ports 0, 2 and how they are connected, port 1, port 3, and the timing and control unit and the oscillator part. And you can see the ALU, arithmetic and logic unit, and here you can see some basic registers known as accumulator, B register, stack pointer. Okay, and when you discuss the theory, you will study all these modules. Okay, now for the programming part, we are not going into details. Now we will discuss the pin diagram also. Again, in the case of 8051, it's a 40 pin IC. So it contains 40 pins. So here you can see that pin number 40 is VCC and pin number 20 is ground connection. So we will apply power supply through these pins. So plus 5 volt power supplies we will normally use for the working of 8051. And we already mentioned that there are some ports, 4 ports, P0, P1, P2 and P3. So from this particular picture you can see that pin number 1 to 8 is actually P1, port 1 pins. So there will be 8 pins, and pin number 39 to 32 you can see port 0. So similarly pin number 21 to 28 is indicated as port 1, and pin number 10 to 17 is normally port 3. So some extra features also we can see here. So TXT, RXT, interrupts, timer, write, read bar. Okay. Similarly, here also you can see some AD0, AD1. Okay, that we will discuss later. So you just need an idea about the different pins. So these are the basic pins: port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3, and port 3 is also some perform some extra functions. That's why it's a multi-purpose ports. And these two lines are crystal 1, crystal 2. So actually we are using for the clock frequency. Okay, crystal oscillator we will connect between these 2 points. Okay, for accessing external memory and for flash programming, we are using the pin PSEN, ALU, and EA bar or VPP. Okay, here you can see that the reset pin. Okay. I think all about this is all about pin diagram, and the functions of each pin we need to discuss, that we will discuss in the theory part. Okay. Now we will go into the very important part when you consider about the programming of 8051. It's a memory organization. So I'll give you a basic idea about what do you mean by memory. Okay, you can consider memory as a room. Okay, just like you're a classroom. Okay, if you take any classroom, there you can there some boys or girls, and for example, if you consider any classroom, it can accommodate 60 students. Okay, this is a classroom. Okay, this is a classroom. So we can accommodate around 60 students. Okay, so capacity of this classroom is 60 students, means we will arrange 60 chairs. Okay, there will be 60 chairs. Each chair can accommodate a boy or girl. So similarly, in the case of a memory, it can hold a binary data, means it can hold values 1, 0, 0, 1, etc. Binary values 1 or 0. Okay, and usually in the case of 8051, the memory location capacity is 8 bit, means it can hold 8 bit value in a particular memory location. So a classroom can hold 60 students. Similarly, a memory location can hold 8-bit. So 8-bit, or we can call it as a 1 byte. And each classroom is identified by the class number or a room number. Usually we'll use the decimal number system for identifying the class. For example, the class number 208. Okay. And this particular number is actually used to represent this classroom. Similarly, in the case of memory, in order to identify this memory location, we will use some memory address. And this room number and memory room number is normally known as the address. Okay. And the address is usually represented in binary, or for the convenience, we will represent the address in hex also. Okay. Similarly, there will be other rooms. Okay. So, for example, the nearby room normally will represent as 209. Similarly, if this room number is 20H, so if you represent hex, that will be easy. The next room is 21H. Okay. So this is a basic idea about memory. And in sometimes some classrooms are also labeled as labeled by using some name. For example, if this room is special, sometimes we will indicate as a lab. Okay, this is HOD room. So similar to that, some memory locations are identified by using name. For example, some rooms are identified as A, or we can call it as accumulator. Some memory locations we will labeled as B, or we'll call it as B register. Okay. And we can identify some rooms by using number or by name. Similar in the case of a classroom. Okay. Some rooms we can identify by using a number or by using name. So both represent the same location. And when you consider about the 8051, we need to discuss about the RAM and ROM. And this ROM is normally called as a flash memory in the case of 8051. Again, we need to discuss about two types of memory, RAM and ROM, and also how we can, or what's the structure of this RAM that we are arranged internally, and how we can add extra RAM and ROM external, and what is the maximum size of internal RAM and external RAM. Similarly, what is the maximum capacity of internal ROM and external ROM, and what's the total capacity. Okay. So that we will discuss. So the program memory is known as a ROM or a flash memory, and the data memory is known as RAM. Okay. So also we can see some terms, direct and indirect addressing area, register banks, that we will discuss. So first we will discuss the program memory. When we discuss the features of 8051, we mentioned that internal program memory is 4K byte. Okay. So this is a capacity of 8051 internal ROM. So we can use this particular memory to store the program. Okay. This memory is normally used to store the program. So this memory is internally 4K wide. So for around 4,000 locations are available. Each location can hold 1 byte information. So we need to identify this room by using room number. So we will use the first room number by 000H, and the last room is last memory location is identified by FFFH. So FFH means it actually binary value 111111111. Okay, so this is a binary representation, and it's very difficult to write the long statement. So that's why we are using the hexadecimal representation. Okay, so FFFH. So the first memory location address is represented by 12 bits, 00000 and 0000. So this is a room number of the first location is identified using the binary sequence. It's a 12-bit sequence, and the last memory location, internal ROM memory location, is identified by the 12-bit sequence, that is 111, 11111, etc. Okay. Instead of representing it in binary, we will use hex because it is convenient. 00H to FFFH. Okay. This is about 4K internal memory. So we should also remember the address range. It's from 0000 to FFFH. And in the case of 8051, sorry, we can add some extra memory externally. So if you are using this 4K memory internally, another 60K memory we can connect externally. So if you take an 8051, okay, this is 8051 microcontroller. So this is 8051 microcontroller. Internally it contains a 4K ROM. So if you are using this internal 4K ROM, additionally you can connect an external ROM, and the maximum capacity of the external ROM is 60K. So total 4K plus 60K. Total 64K memory can be used in the case of 8051 for the programming purpose. So if the program is very big, you need to connect some external ROM, and the maximum capacity of external ROM is 60K if you are using the internal 4K. So internal 4K plus 60K, total you can use 64K ROM. This is one possibility. So if you are using this particular configuration, that we are using the internal 4K memory and the external 60K. So already we labeled from 000H to FFH for the internal memory. So the next value, next address, that is 1000 after 0FFFH, the next address is 100H. From 100H to FFH used to label the external ROM or external flash memory. So total 64K, 64,000 memory locations can be used for the programming. And if you are using this particular configuration, that is internal 4K and external 60K, the pin EA bar should be connected to logic high. So this particular configuration is used or selected by using the pin EA bar. When EA bar is equal to 1, the microcontroller 8051 use internal 4K, and additionally there is a provision to connect 60K. This is one configuration. Or instead of this, you can avoid this internal 4K memory, and if you are not using this internal 4K memory, externally maximum you can connect a 64K byte memory. So this is another option. So in order to choose this particular option, we need to connect this EA bar pin to 0. That is, we are not using the internal 4K memory. We are not using this internal 4K memory. The maximum memory capacity is 64K. That 64K totally we will connect externally. Okay, the internal 4K memory we are not using. The entire program we will store in the external memory. So at that time, the 64K address, that is first address is 00H, is for the external memory, and the last FFFH is also used for the external. But if you are using the internal 4K, the first 4K address is used internally, and the remaining will be used for the external. But if you are using the 64K byte externally, the address ranges from 00H to FFH is for external program memory. Okay. So this is the program memory configuration. So you can see the address range. Okay. And some additional points you should remember in the case of program memory. In program memory, we already mentioned that it's starting from 00H. When the microcontroller resets, it's automatically the program counter point to the 00H address. And we already mentioned some kind of interrupts are possible in the case of 8051. And these memory locations are dedicated for this interrupts. For external interrupt 0, the location allocated is 003H, and the program memory location, and timer 0 00BH, and external 1 13H, timer 1 is 1BH, and serial interrupt 23H. Okay. uh, so when we are using this particular module, timer, and if you are configuring this interrupt concept, and we will discuss this interrupt concept later, and when you are using this interrupt concept, this particular address is dedicated for this timer programming, and we will not use this particular memory location. Okay. So there is a practice, we will write the normal program after this memory location if you are using this interrupt. Otherwise we can start from or you can use this memory location. If you are not considering any interrupt concept, you can use all these memory location for the programming purpose. Now we'll come to the another important part, that's the data memory or RAM organization of 8051. So again we need to discuss two concepts, that is internal and external. First we will discuss internal. In the case of 8051, internal RAM capacity, or it's also known as a general purpose, and the addressing mode used for accessing this particular RAM is direct and indirect addressing mode. So this is known as a general purpose RAM. There is a GPR, general purpose RAM, and the size of general purpose RAM is 128 byte. So each memory location can hold 8 bits and total 128 locations. So in order to address this 128 byte, we are using 00 to 7F. So if you take, if you write hexadecimal value 00 to 7F, you will get 128 different combinations. Okay. Or in binary, if you write 000, 8-bit value, and 011111. So this is 7F. So in order to address 128, we require only 7 bits. Okay. So we require only 7 bits, but we'll represent in 8 bit. That's why 00H to 7FH. This is the memory address of general purpose RAM. And in the case of 8051, there are some special function registers, or we can call it as some additional registers. Okay, from 80 to FF. That is, again, there is a 128 byte extra RAM available in the case of internal RAM, but this RAM is not available for the general purpose. We can use this register for some perform special functions. Okay. So sometimes we will mention that the total capacity of RAM in 8051 is 256. So at that time you should mention that 128 is general purpose and 128 is special purpose. And for the programming general data storage or temporary data storage, we will use only the lower 128 byte 00H to 7FH, and the remaining is labeled from 80H to FFH. Okay, you should remember this address range is very important, and the higher 128 byte is only accessible by direct addressing mode. Okay, but the lower area you can address by using direct and indirect. This is about the addressing modes, so that you will discuss in theory. Anyway, you should remember this point. The indirect addressing is not possible in from 80H to FFH. Okay, and this is one possibility. So total you will get 256 or 128 byte, plus you can connect a 64K byte external RAM. So in the case of RAM, the internal 128 byte plus a 64K byte external RAM is possible in the case of 8051. But in the case of program memory, that is not possible. If you are using the internal 4K memory, you can use only 60K external. Otherwise, you need to connect the 60K external, 64K externally, and we will not use the internal 4K. But in the case of data memory, we can use the internal plus an additional 64K. So this is a data memory structure. Okay, so please make clear that in the case of program memory, if you are using the internal 4K, externally you can connect only 60K. And if you are not using this 4K, externally you can connect 64K. But in the case of data memory, you can use this 128 byte plus 64K externally. So that's the difference. So the external memory is 64K, so we need to address from 000H to FFFFH. Okay. So that's the address range of external. Now this internal general purpose RAM is again 128 byte is again divided into different areas. So address 00H to 07H is known as register bank 0, and from 08 to 0FH is known as register bank 1, and 10H to 17H is known as bank 2, and 18 to 1F is known as bank 3. Okay. So each location contains 8 byte, and we will consider for the programming convenience, we are grouping this memory location into banks: bank 0, bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, etc. And from 20 to 2FH is again there is some speciality. They are also bit addressable. Means we already mentioned that memory location is addressed. For example, it can hold 8 bit a memory location. For example, this we can consider one location 21H. This 21H contain or it can hold 8 bit value, and this 8 bit is again bit addressable. Okay, so just like you are putting some chair number 1 2 3 4 etc., you can address each bit in this particular memory. That is not possible in the case of other locations. In other location there is no bit addressable concept. Only by the location, memory location is addressable. Okay, we'll see later. So this is a total 128 is divided into banks and bit addressable area and the general purpose scratchpad area. Okay, so we will discuss the general purpose register area 00 to 1F, that is bank. And here you can see the advantage of bank. This bank is actually addressed by uh, the address value, that is 0001, 02, 03, etc., and is also indicated by using some name. The names are known as R0, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7. So either you can say that memory location 2, or you can call it as an R2. Okay, both points are the same memory location. But you can see that same name is used in bank 1 also. The memory location 08 is also labeled as R0. So in order to differentiate these two, we are using some bank select concept. Okay, so when you are using this particular name R0, you should also mention in which bank. Okay, and we are using the register names R0 to R7, but at that time we should also mention that in which bank. But if you are using the address, there is no requirement of this bank selection. Directly you can use the address. So that is address of direct addressing. But when you are using the register addressing, you should mention the bank. Okay, this is all about the banks: bank 0, bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, and we will see how we can select the bank. And this is about the bit addressable memory. We already mentioned that from 00 to 1F is general purpose register or the bank, and from 20 to 2F is bit addressable. So here you can see the 20 to 2F memory location. There is no label for this particular memory location. They are only direct addressable: 20, 21, 22, all represent hex. And I already mentioned that each bit in this particular memory location can be identified again using some address. So this is known as a bit addressable area. So in memory location 20H, the first bit is known as 00, next one is 01, 02, 03, just like you are putting some chair number. Okay, in next room 21, the first bit or first chair is labeled as 08, 09, 08, 0B, C, D, E, F. So after that, in the 22, memory location 22, uh, the first location is labeled as 10H. So similarly, you will get total 128 bits in this particular region. 16 location, and each location contain 8 bits. So total bits addressable area or bit addressable area is 128 bits, 00 to 7F. So don't confuse with this address. This address is also used for addressing uh, RAM memory location and also for the bit addressable area. Okay. So some additional instructions are used for bit addressable area, so that we will discuss later. Okay. Here you can see some example. Move C 1AH means it actually indicating C is a bit location, so 1AH is also indicating. Here you can see that 1AH is a bit addressable area. Okay. So it's all about internal RAM. We already mentioned general purpose registers with banks is available from 00 to 1F, and from 20 to 2F it's bit addressable area. From 30 to 7F it's general purpose direct and indirect addressing area. And next we will discuss the special function register. And in the case of special function register, there are different registers associated with the port registers, control register, timers, serial, interrupt, etc. Okay. The address 80H to FF is normally considered as the special function SFR registers. In the case of 8051, this region is only direct address. Okay. So this is the basic structure of SFR and 80H to FFH. Okay, here you can see that this location is 8-bit, and this particular location is used for port 0 control and stack pointer, DPL, DPH. Each location is having some special function. Okay. And one more point we will discuss, that is a stack memory concept. In microcontroller programming, the stack programming is also very important. So you should know this term SP. There is a special function register in SFR. SP is actually indicating the starting location of stack pointer. So when you switch on the stack pointer, or when you reset the stack point microcontroller 8051, the initial value contained in stack pointer 07 means the stack memory starts from 08 onwards. That's a meaning. Okay, if it's hold value 07, the first value loaded into stack will be from 08 onwards. So, or you can call it as by default in 8051 the stack memory is bank 1. Okay, 08 onwards. Okay, this is about stack memory. And another important point you should know about the programming memory organization is a PSW register, program status word register. And after each operation of ALU, so you can see some status. Okay, so in order to observe the status, you need to refer this particular register or the register bits. PSW again located in SFR. Okay, it's an 8-bit wide, and here you can see different flags and carry flag, auxiliary carry, uh, another one for bank select, RS1, RS0, overflow flag, and parity flag. Okay, so after each addition, if the result is more than 8-bit, you can see this carry flag. Okay, after ALU addition. Similarly, you can see some auxiliary carry. Uh, this auxiliary carry flag is normally used in BCD addition. Okay, and F0 is actually a general purpose. There is no special purpose. User can use this F0, or you can configure this F0 for any other purpose. And we already mentioned that RAM is divided into different banks. We need to select different banks to use this particular concept R0, R1. So at that time, when you are using this bank, we need to select the bank. And for that, we are using this RS1 and RS0. So based on these values of RS1 and RS0, we can select different banks. Similarly, there is an overflow. It's also used in addition, multiplication and division operation. And finally, a parity. PS1 location is not actually defined in 8051. So this is a parity flag. And this is about register select. If RS1, RS0 values are 00, we will select register bank 0. That is, if RS1, RS0 00 means the R0 name R0 is actually pointing the first location in bank 0. And if RS1 R0 is 01, then the name R0 is actually pointing to 0E. Okay, that's the difference. If RS1 R0 is 11, then R0 means it's actually pointing the memory location 18H. Okay, it's all about so we discussed about a basic architecture, not detailed one, and we'll also discuss about the memory structure. So in order to program a microcontroller, we need an exact idea about the memory structure. So what's the size of program memory, what's the size of RAM, and how we can address the RAM and how we can address the program memory. Okay, then only you can do the program. So make sure that you are comfortable with this particular area, especially the memory organization. So please remember all these address range and how we are addressing the program memory and how we are addressing the RAM. Okay, internal RAM and external RAM. Okay, thank you.